Hey, John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy. I'm going to try it again. I went live earlier on like a lot of different platforms, and I'm looking down here. My recorder went off, so it's recording now, and I'm going to keep an eye on it over at the side, but I am so sorry. But we're going to talk about the Virginia state specific real estate examination. And I want to go over some material with you right now very quickly. Just a few items for you here on the, again, Virginia state specific information. So, I'm actually, what I'm doing in all of these states that we are approved in is actually just going by the code in Virginia. And so you can see I'm in definitions. We're going to look at real estate salesperson defined and then possibly preparation of real estate contracts, and we'll get through with that. So let's get into the material. Again, you may be going to another school in Virginia. Perhaps you haven't passed the state examination for Virginia. This is all regarding Virginia real estate test prep at Global Real Estate School and for my students. Now, we're going to actually look first of all at this distance learning. And this should be a free question for you. Global real estate schools such as mine, we deliver our courses through the internet. And so they are approved through the Virginia Real Estate Commission. I don't think you will see a question on this. However, if you do, I think you'll be fine. You probably need to know what a real estate broker means according to the definition of the Virginia Code, okay? And two things I really want you to understand. First of all, it can be an individual, so you or I could just have a sole proprietorship. That's what we call that. You could be a broker and say, I want to open a real estate office, and I'm just going to open it under Charles Smith. And so you rent an office, you get a broker's license from Virginia, and you start your real estate business. You do not incorporate, you do not have any partners, you're not part of an association, you don't even go out and do an LLC, you just start your real estate company, and at the end of the year, your tax preparer, or possibly you, will file a tax return under your business name as a sole proprietor. That is as an individual. Now, you could also be a business entity, and that could include a partnership, an association, a corporation, or a limited liability. Now, a couple of key things here I want you to know when you're doing this for compensation or valuable consideration, and you're doing any of these items that are listed here. And they're just real estate items. I mean, it's timeshares, it's interest in a condominium or a cooperative, it's purchasing, it's selling, it's offering for sale, it's leasing or offering to lease. All of these items, if there's anything to do with real estate and you're doing it for compensation or valuable consideration, then according to the Virginia Code, you're a real estate broker. And if you're doing activities that fall under a real estate broker under the code, you need a real estate license. Therefore, you could be in trouble if you do not have a real estate license and you're actively doing any of those real estate related items. Now, one of the things I want you to understand, two things I want you to understand, I think that's important because part of the exam is knowing the terms and concepts. When you see limited liability, I'm a creative speller, limited liability corporation. And by the way, individuals can form an LLC. It has to do with your business form and tax advantages and risk and so forth. You might see that on the real estate exam as LLC, Limited Liability Corporation. You could also see the abbreviation of Inc. And Inc. means that you are incorporated, and so you would be a corporation, okay? So understand those are real estate brokers. Now, let's look at the real estate team. And a team means two or more individuals, one or more of whom is a real estate salesperson or a broker, who work together as a unit within the same brokerage firm. That's important. So you're working together as a unit in the same brokerage firm. Could be a salesperson or an associate broker, as we'll talk about, and represents themselves to the public as working together as one unit, okay? And designate themselves by a fictitious name. If you are doing that, you are considered a real estate team. And we have lots of teams today. And remember, two or more individuals. It could be two on the team. It could be 10. It could be 243 people on the team. But it's two or more who work together as a unit within the same brokerage firm, okay? They're also representing themselves to the public as working together as one unit and designate themselves by a fictitious name. That is considered a team. Now, supervising broker, this is interesting because this is a real estate broker who has been designated by a principal broker, to supervise the provision of real estate brokerage services by associate brokers and salespersons. So they're supervising associate brokers and salespersons, and they have also been what? Designated by a principal broker. I got my real estate license in 1978 at the age of 18, and a year later in Missouri, at that time, there was no time limit. You could go get your broker's license at any time. A year later, I went and got my broker's license. Now, I didn't want to be a designated broker. I didn't want to own my own company. My mom was the supervising broker, and Mayfield Real Estate Inc., we were a corporation, holds a broker's license. It still does today. Mayfield Real Estate Inc. is the broker. All the licenses are under Mayfield Real Estate Inc. And I'm the designated broker, the principal broker that's designated. Now, my mom could have designated me as a supervising broker, where I would have been like a branch broker in charge, but I didn't want to do that. And so I would have fallen under what is called an associate broker in the state of Virginia. So that's kind of how that works, and just want you to understand that, okay? And you can see here that this supervising broker is assigned to a branch office or a real estate team. Could be an exam question. You could have a supervising broker of a real estate team, okay? So, in fact, you probably do have that, and we'll find all of that out as we move through the course material. Now, we need to talk about a salesperson. I want to keep these videos very quick and to the point. And so the real estate salesperson means any individual or business entity. So that could be an LLC, limited liability corporation. Salespeople can form as an LLC. And so they are what? They are for compensation or valuable consideration employed either directly or indirectly. So if they're employed, remember, whoops, having trouble with my pen today. Let's see. And I just lost there we go. So if they're employed, what I want you to understand is they would get a W-2, right? Broker would pay the taxes. Or they could be an independent contractor with the broker. And in that case, if they're an independent contractor, they get a 1099 and no taxes are taken out. You pay your own taxes if you're an independent contractor. And again, they're doing the same things we talked about. They're, sell, exchange, negotiate, buy, sell, offer to buy or sell. They're negotiating leases. All of those real estate related activities we discussed earlier, they fall as a salesperson. So you need to know for the exam the definitions of, how does this broker, how are they defined under the Virginia Code? And how's a team defined under the Virginia Code? What about the supervising broker, who could also be the supervising broker for a team? And then what about a salesperson? So understand those concepts and keep in mind they're going to probably throw these in groups of content and information and use words like Inc. and LLC. And so just read the questions carefully and you'll do very well. Now, one last item over here that I want to talk about, and then we'll wrap up for today, is this bit about translations of contracts, okay? And what I want you to understand, there's a couple of things that go on here, is that as real estate agents, we can use pre-printed forms by legal counsel. And so with that, we can only fill in the blanks. There's a court case called Hulse versus Krieger. And that court case says real estate agents can only fill in the blank. So that's what they're talking about right here. And then down here, they're talking about translation. And really what you need to know here is the fact that if a customer or someone needs the translation of a contract or other real estate document from English language to another language, you may assist them with obtaining a translator or may refer them to an electronic translation service. You can't charge a fee for that assistance or referral. That very well could be an exam question, so keep that in mind. But understand they're not going to keep you to have breached any kind of obligations under this chapter just because you recommend or refer someone to get translation services, okay? In fact, check with your broker on that, but very well, remember, you can't charge a fee. Very well, you could see an exam question about that, okay? So that's all we're going to talk about on this video. I want you to go to Global Real Estate School, our YouTube channel. You're here, hopefully, or you're watching it on globalrealestateschool.com. I'm developing a playlist with Virginia content. These will be short videos. We'll be going through each specific piece of the code to help you pass the real estate exam on the very first attempt. Hey, keep us in mind, Global Real Estate School. Tell others about our school. I've got some great study resources for all of the national states. We were approved in a number of states. You could find out more. I've got a great podcast. Global Real Estate School podcast will take you right there. Give us some love, subscribe to the channel, say some nice things, and as always, go out and make it a great